and welcome to the Dr. Grant Show. You want to eat healthier, but it feels like punishment. All the healthy foods you've tried have been either too bland or too complicated to make. And it's hard enough to make time for exercise. So why should your food have to be another hassle? You are busy enough as is. Well, today's episode of the Dr. Grant Show, I'm going to cover delicious, nutritious meals that are easy to make and fit into your busy schedule. I'm going to show you how to make waffles that are both healthy and satisfying without all of the extra unhealthy fats. I also have a secret hack that makes your waffles not only delicious, but you would never, ever know about this healthy hack. All right, so let's get into it. For my recipe, this healthier homemade waffle recipe, here are the ingredients that you are going to need. All right, number one, flour. You'll need 4 cups. By the way, this recipe, it makes enough for a family of 4 since I have hubby and the 2 kids as well as myself. So this recipe may sound like a lot of ingredients, but when you really get down to it, you're going to need all of these ingredients to make all these waffles, because the other thing regarding waffles is the fact that you're always going to want some to be left over. So this recipe is going to give you enough waffles to easily, throughout the rest of the week, not only feed a family of 4, but to have healthy alternatives to breakfast, which reduces the instance of overeating and giving into food cravings, because you have it right there in your refrigerator. All right, so let's get into the recipe, shall we? All right, beginning. Number 1, you're going to need flour, 4 cups of that. You'll need baking powder, 12 teaspoons of that. You're also going to need pink Himalayan sea salt. You'll need 1 teaspoon of that. You will also need coconut sugar. That's the healthy hack, number 1. 3 tablespoons of that. You'll need raw sugar. You'll need 3 tablespoons of that. You'll also need eggs, 6 of those. Finally, our secret ingredient to make these waffles not only tasty, but healthier: coconut oil, 1 cup's worth, and just a smidge bit of butter, half a cup. Now, you can forego the butter, and instead you would adjust this recipe to include, instead of 1 cup of coconut oil and half a cup of butter, you would adjust this recipe to make it a total of 1.5 cups of coconut oil if you want to remove the butter entirely. I have made this recipe both ways, and honestly, they taste good either way. So I have all the ingredients laid out here in order to save us time. But as you can clearly see here, as I turn this so you guys can see, all the dry ingredients are put together in here. All the wet put together in here. So here are my eggs, and here is my milk. In this instance, I used whole milk, organic milk. However, I have also played around with and experimented with half and half, where half of the milk is whole milk, organic, and the other half is using almond milk, which is usually my staple and go-to. I've also experimented with this recipe and completely swapped out the whole milk entirely and then replaced it with almond milk. I've also experimented with rice milk and cashew milk. So my point to this is, feel free to adjust this according to your needs and specifications. But my goal here is to show you easier ways to make healthy, healthier, and delicious, tasty food that you'll want to eat. Because if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get healthier, often you think so much about all of the tasty food that you're going to be missing out on. And let's inject a little bit of psychology into this, shall we? When I work with people in my virtual wellness practice, a lot of the challenges that they experience are here. not your workouts, not your food, because they've convinced themselves based off of either past experiences or well-intentioned and meaning family and friends that tell you you're going to have to give up everything you've ever loved and you're going to be eating bland, tasteless food for the rest of your life, which couldn't be further from the truth. So after experiencing training and various cooking classes, I have found that if you have someone that is willing to take you by the hand, step by step, and help you work through the psychology so that you feel pulled towards your healthier decisions instead of pushed, followed by your food and taking you by the hand, side by side, via Zoom, for example, and we make it together, and side by side, giving you the fitness portion of it right there. So it's fun. It makes your journey so much easier to manage because not only are you no longer trying to solve this and walk this path alone, but you also are getting all of the support that you need, and all of it's based in science and compassion and oodles of care and love. So without further ado, let's get into the recipe, shall we? What you're going to want to do first is begin by just mixing your dry ingredients together. So I'm going to take all of these dry ingredients. Once again, in here has and contains your flour, baking powder, pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as your coconut sugar and your raw sugar. So all this is right here in here, okay? So we're going to take this and we're going to dump it into a bowl. Now, if you are short on time, and well, these days, who isn't short on time? You can, and what I've discovered is you can dump all the dry ingredients in a bowl the night before, and then dump all your wet ingredients in a bowl the night before, with the exception of the coconut oil and the butter. They would need to be in a separate container. But if all of these things, let's say you're doing this, you want to make this on a weekend, you can do that. It's totally doable, totally easy. Just put them in 2 to 3 separate bowls and then combine them when you first wake up. So the next step is to mix all of the dry ingredients together in a large bowl, which doesn't take long. If you're new to cooking, or if you're scared of cooking, the reason why I take this approach is because it makes it easier to mix. You also avoid over mixing. If you over mix your batter for your waffles, what will wind up happening is that you'll have overly chewy waffles. And you really would hate to have to go through all this work just to wind up with something that you don't find delightful. Next, add your wet ingredients. I'll start with the milk. And then I'm going to mix this just a smidge. So you just have a handheld mixer on this one, okay? So I mixed in the milk, just a smidge. Next, add the eggs. All right. Now, for those of you that are wondering why I have this plate underneath the bowl, if you've ever cracked eggs and then you wound up with a mess of the egg yolk on your kitchen counter, this prevents that. So always place a plate underneath your bowl that you plan on cracking the eggs in. Makes for much easier cleanup. I'm going to mix it a little bit. Now, you might wonder, why am I saving the coconut oil and butter mixture for last? I'm saving it for last because often, depending upon the temperature of your room, coconut oil quickly hardens and solidifies as soon as it comes in contact with something cold. The way to avoid this and to prevent this is to put it in the recipe last. That way it's just being mixed and incorporated into your recipe. Or you can, as an alternative, you can just simply work with lukewarm room temperature ingredients as well. So I combined all of this into one measuring cup that, once again, 1.5 total between the 1 cup of 1 cup of coconut oil and the 1/2 cup of butter. So I'm pouring that in now. Once again, this recipe contains a lot of ingredients because I believe in making cooking and my life, as well as my clients' lives, as simple and easy as possible. And that means reducing the need to food binge. And that means having healthier alternatives, easy and accessible. And how you do that is having leftovers. These keep rather well. So now you mix it. All right. So to keep this from drying out, I always all about the making your post-cooking activities and cleanup easier, because that is another huge discouragement that I have heard from my clients and my digital wellness practice. Often the feedback that I hear when I talk about including more foods that are homemade, where you know what's going into your food, you can have more control and you sidestep a lot of saturated fats and whatnot, or unanticipated fats and high levels of fat, is the intimidation factor with cooking. So I often recommend, like what you just saw me do here, just rinsing off your item as you load them into the sink. So this way it makes for easier cleanup, because who wants to run things through the dishwasher twice or 3 times? And also, who really wants to work hard on cleaning up if you don't have to? All right, so now we have our trusty waffle iron here. All right. And what I'm going to do, it's been heating up. So if I didn't say this before, which I don't think I did, preheat your waffle iron. That way, when you're ready to get started, so is your waffle iron. I'm going to take a plate. See if I can slide a small plate underneath here in case there's any overflow. Let's see. All right. Nope, that's not working out. So just in case there's any overflow or spillage, you can just simply take a paper towel and insert it underneath your waffle iron, okay? All right, so your next step is going to be to ladle. Make sure it's still hot, okay? Take it and turn it up just a smidge bit more. All right. So let's see if you guys can see my adorable waffle iron here. Yeah, I think you can. And of course, feel free to make sure to comment in the chat on any questions that you have, or you can text me privately as well, or you can DM me privately as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and add this fun, cool, my husband bought me this. It's a fun little cool thing to just be able to control your amount that you're pouring in here. All right, so then you close the waffle iron and then flip it over. Now, every waffle iron is different, but for my waffle iron, as soon as the light, I believe, turns off is when I will know that it is ready. If you don't have that function on your waffle iron, that's okay too. Another way that you can know when your waffle is ready is really just by the steam. You may see a huge amount of steam going on in your waffle iron, and that lets you know that, I think my waffle might be ready now. So the beautiful thing, I'm checking to see. All right, so actually my waffle iron, I have several in different shapes, which is fun. So my waffle iron, it turns off for a second, the light, the little ready light, and then it comes back on. So once again, it doesn't take very long, and I'm eager, so very eager to share with you the end result of these waffles, because they smell absolutely divine, and they're also a lot of fun to make. Now, Let's talk about customization after these waffles are done. You can eat them plain. My children and my husband often eat them and just gobble them up, and they didn't even have a chance to get to adding any syrup. Or you can add some maple syrup, or you can add some fruit. In this case, we're going to be using frozen blueberries, and your options are really endless. You can add apples, you can add chocolate. You can even mix certain things into the batter, for example. You can mix chocolate chips into the batter. And I see somebody's commented here. Hold on. Thank you. You say my kitchen is adorable. Thank you. Thank you. We're wrapping up the remodeling. I'm so happy. And I always like the color blue on kitchens, just not cars. Don't ask me why. So what's fun about this is the fact that you can customize this however you want. I want to give you, once again, my goal is to make eating healthier easier. And one thing that I found, and what makes it so easy, is if you've got someone that's showing you step by step how to do it. Let's check on those waffles. My light is on. All right, so let's turn this. And I'm going to open it. Oh, this is looking, let me smell this. Good, so good. So there are different things you can do to pull set waffle out, okay? Now I had this set on the lightest setting. So, because I like my waffles to be a little light. The thing is, when you use coconut oil with your waffle, it makes it super soft. Hold on. Looks like my waffle wants to hang around in there. Let's try something else. You don't want to come out, waffle? I got to get you out. We got a show to do here. So what I'm gently doing is taking my fork, and it looks like this waffle's going to come out in pieces because it's so soft. That's the only thing. When you cook with coconut oil, by the way, you can cook with coconut oil for more than waffles as a substitute for butter, or even if you just want to, if this is too terrifying to you, the concept of replacing your butter and your ingredients when you cook with coconut oil, that's okay. You can take an approach of half and half. So for your original recipe, if the concept of totally switching out your butter that you normally might cook with to coconut oil is too scary, you can, and that's what I did when I first started getting healthier, I would swap out half. Same thing for the sugar, the white sugar. I don't use white sugar in anything that I cook with. I still desire flavor. Okay, I definitely still desire flavor. And if you're anything like me, well, if it doesn't taste good, you're not going to eat it, right? Right? So you can substitute out to gradually warm yourself up to the concept of eating healthier, yet still preserving the taste and the flavor. Here's your stair-step approach. For any recipes that you normally used white sugar on, just swap out half of the recipe. So for example, if the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of white sugar, instead you would substitute out 1 tablespoon of coconut sugar or raw sugar. So those are some great swaps. I've got plenty. Like I said before, eating healthier, it doesn't have to be hard. And my goal in my digital wellness practice is to give you the tools to make it so easy that you've got no choice but to succeed. But let me tell you something. Allow me to share something with you. When I first started trying to get healthy, and I'd try and I'd fail, and I'd try and I'd fail, or at least that's the way I felt about it at the time years ago. Forgot to turn this. First, I try what someone else was doing that seemed to work for them. There's only one problem. It worked for them. So if I'm eating stuff that I absolutely despise, I may try it, but it's not going to work out for very long. You get me? Then I began to realize that, I need to have a chat with the person that's at my grocery store because some of the stuff that I take home, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but some of the stuff that I take home at that time, it didn't taste that good. And then I felt like I was stuck. I'm trying to eat healthier. And can anybody relate to this? You are trying so hard to go try this new thing, try this cauliflower pizza, try this item. And then you try it and then it doesn't work out. So then you feel like you're stuck. And no matter your financial situation, you still feel like you wasted this money. So here's another tip. Check the return policy with the store that you're buying the item from. I will admit, certain stores have a more generous return policy than others. So check in your local area since this is broadcast internationally. But that makes life so much easier when you know that, okay, I try it and I'm not stuck with it. So, but there's one thing that I definitely wish to, and see it's spilling over. So see, this is the reason why I have the paper towel. But there's one thing that is paramount. There is a secret that no one is talking about when we talk about trying to get healthier here, whether it's in the form of getting healthier, eating healthier breakfast, healthier waffle, healthier pancakes, healthier dinner, healthier lunch. It is the mind. And this is the reason why I started my digital wellness practice, helping stressed emotional eaters, food addicts, people trying to lose weight, and people that struggle with binging because of my mother. I lost my mother to obesity and food addiction and emotional eating years ago. And I watched her constantly struggle with her weight. She'd step on the scale, and perhaps you can relate. She'd step on the scale and she'd hop off like it burned her or something. And then she would try so hard to embrace healthier behaviors. She'd try to work out. She'd try to eat healthier. And maybe you're in the same boat. You've tried these things and they stuck for about a month, maybe 2 months, and before you knew it, you were back to your old habits. Well, let me let you in on a little secret. Often, when you're trying to stop binging, when you're trying to stop emotional eating, when you're trying to conquer your food cravings and food addiction, I can give you the healthy recipes. I can give you oodles. I can take you by the hand, side by side, and customize tasty, nutritious items for you. But guess what? Until we address the mind and find out neurologically, psychologically, the real why behind why you're giving into those food cravings, why you're emotionally eating, why you're binging, you're just going to keep hopping back and forth between starting something new, it sticks for a little while, and then you fall off. Imagine how your world would change and transform to actually, and this is what all of my clients and many people that I talk to, imagine how your whole world would transform to finally find out when you food binge the real reason why. And not in a just aha light bulb moment why, but to actually prune and snip the neuroenergetic and acoustic attachment that you have to the memory that started you to food binging and emotionally eating in the first place. You keep the lesson. You keep the memory. You lose the urge. Imagine what your world would look like. Imagine how many meetings, like my mother. I remember so many times my mom would often tell me about meetings that she attended at work. And she was afraid to say anything, even though she had a great idea. But she was afraid to speak up in crucial meetings that would actually, and are all meetings to a degree like this, that would actually determine her career. It would determine whether or not she got the raise, got the promotion or not. And she sat silent because she was afraid that people would look at her weight instead of the weight of her valuable contribution and opinion. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe that's you. Imagine how your life would change if instead of feeling like you're pushing yourself towards your goals, you're actually feeling pulled towards them. And the weight loss and the emotional eating is a natural byproduct until you solve the problem. Once you solve the problem and get to the root of the problem, everything else changes. Your career changes. Your career options change. How you show up in relationships and friendships change. Your hobbies change. Your spirituality, no matter what your belief system is, it feels so much richer and has more texture and freedom. Imagine how that would feel, that instead of being afraid to say something, even going through bouts of shame or guilt when you binged, you don't go through that anymore. Even if you do have a period where you do that, you keep it in perspective. You don't let it overtake you and rule you because you know it's just a hiccup as my brain is being recoded and rewired. Often in past show episodes, you will see me covering sound baths for emotional eating and stress and sound therapy. And the reason for this is it's integrative. That's why my approach works with so many people that I talk to, because the first step in that method is to find out what your neuroacoustic code is. Once you find out what your neuroacoustic code is, we can snip, 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 and recode your mind to all those memories that are causing you and triggering you to binge, to overeat. We prune that. We sever that connection. We release you. Now, doesn't that sound good, being released? And then in the next phase, once we've identified the why, once we prune the connection, then we can bring in the food, which is why I'm giving you a nice, fun taste of how we roll here, side by side, right here, you and I. You're talking to me, telling me what you like. And then we design something that's tasty yet healthier together. I do this live, so if something gets set on fire, which it has, or something flips over like it just did, that's just part of the journey and the fun. But all eyes and all of my attention is on you. How would it feel to have, imagine how it would feel to have all of the attention on you. How often have we emptied ourselves out giving attention to other people? How often have we woke up and opened our eyes and said, oh, because we're thinking about all the things we have to do, we're pouring out of ourselves, but when was the last time someone poured into you? If you can't think of the last time someone stopped, focused exclusively on you, gave you unwavering attention, no time limits, just you and me, and we're working on fixing whatever is going on. We're identifying it, we're pulling it up by the root, and we're planting in its place the future version of you that is, you are entitled to the life that you want. You deserve the life that you want. You're thinking of it for a reason. You shouldn't have to wait until you are 50 pounds lighter, 20 pounds lighter. How about someone lays out the map for you to becoming what you want to become right now? No delays. All right, so now I prepared for you waffle number 1, and I want to show you the different ways that this waffle can be prepared. So we've got a few plain ones over here because, well, the children are going to attack soon. So I want to show you this waffle. All right, so I'm going to drizzle some maple syrup on it. Okay, and then drizzle some fresh blueberries. Okay, so you get your fruit and you get your healthy veggie. Sorry, your healthy waffle, healthier carb. All right, so here we go. I'm coming over here to the camera so you guys can see. All right, doesn't this look tasty? All right, so that was one way that the waffle can be prepared. Like I said before, let your mind go wild here. You can have them plain. Now I stacked 2 of them on top of each other, but you can still see the glory of the waffle. And I'm going to pull it apart here just so you can see how soft it is. Okay, see how soft and how nice that is in terms of how it pulls apart. Okay, see how fluffy that is? That is the beauty of your coconut oil. And it tastes delicious. All right, that waffle's going to be mine. All right, so you've now been treated to, step by step, one part of the method that we use to help people that struggle with emotional eating, food addiction, and weight loss. I'm showing you the easiest, simplest way. And the reason why I'm showing this to you as well is I like to work with people live, one-on-one. How many people have actually purchased a course, for example, or bought a cookbook, and that cookbook is still sitting on your shelf, or that course is still sitting on your computer? There's no accountability. There's nobody there trying to check and touch base with you to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Did you know that online courses only have a 3% completion rate? So you're paying for something, and most of the time, if you're statistically like other people, you're not using it. So that means that it's not fixing the problem. Imagine someone that is texting you when you have a special occasion, or if they know you're about to hit a rough patch because you're nervous about a presentation at work, and that's normally when you binge. And imagine someone texting you saying, "You've got this," giving you some tips to keep your brain online and allowing that prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of your brain, by the way, which normally, when people are binging or emotionally eating or trying to lose weight and they give into that urge to binge, it's because the prefrontal cortex wound up getting shut down. The thinking part of the brain, the part of the brain that will remind you, you said you weren't going to eat that. So how about we use psychology? How about we use wonderful, innovative, scientifically proven tools to help your mind stay where you want it to stay, which is in the zone, moving and making steady momentum towards your goals. If this sounds like something that you feel you are worthy of, the attention, the proven approach to getting this done and making it sustainable, someone that's going to hang with you and lavish you with so much love, so much attention, so much guidance, and giving you solutions ranging from your mindset to your food to your fitness, to even consulting in terms of your career. If this is sounding like something that you've been missing, because this is unlike anything that anyone has ever done, and it works, then feel free to reach out and send me a DM at the number that's listed below. It's 312-601-8510. If your company has a wellness program in place, what I'm proposing is something that can walk lockstep with your wellness program, because often wellness programs, one of the reasons why they fail is that employees feel like they're being stuffed into a square hole when they're really a round peg. They also haven't connected with their why for partaking upon consistently, sustainably, the aspects of the wellness program. So if this also sounds like you, once again, send me a DM, or you can reach out and text me at the number that's listed below. For my bariatric surgeons and my family medicine practitioners, I have had so many conversations with you guys where you're often telling me you're tired. You're trying so hard with your patients and your clients, and they're relapsing, and this means their health. But perhaps you don't have 2 hours to sit down with that patient in one sitting to help map out and find out truly what's powering the moves and the decisions that they're saying that they don't want to do anymore, yet they keep finding themselves right back at square one. It's because you have other things to do in your medical practice. But this is all I do all day long. I am completely here for people that are struggling with emotional eating, stress eating, food addiction, obesity, and trying to lose weight. I have the time and the expertise, and it's all empirically and evidence-based. So once again, I invite you to reach out to me, send me a DM, or you can reach out to me via the number that's listed below. You can also find me on edibleaddiction.com. Much love to you. The Dr. Grant Show is on live Wednesdays at 9:00 a.m. Central Standard Time and Saturdays at 1:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. Much love to you. See you soon. Bye.